Call the meeting to order. Ask you please stand for the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone here this evening for the regular town board meeting. We have approval of minutes, July 1st bid opening, July 1st town board special meeting, July 8th town board regular meeting, July 16th town board special meeting. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Move second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, motion is carried. Public comment, agenda items. Anyone wish to speak on any item on the agenda? Yes.
Sorry,
Paul?
Dick, is this for not on the agenda?
On the agenda.
Oh, okay.
At the end, it'll be
Thank
not
you.
on the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. First item is a resolution, CSEA Supplemental Memorandum of Agreement on the GPS vehicle monitoring. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Cornwall has before it a Memorandum of Agreement, MOA, between the Town and Civil Service Employees Association, Local 1000, AFSCME, AFL-CIO, CSEA, which provides that all employees shall be notified of the use of security cameras in the workplace and that GPS devices will be located in town vehicles only to promote the safety and security of town employees and property. Whereas the MOA has been reviewed by the town's collective bargaining council, who reported that it is acceptable, and now therefore be resolved as follows. 1, the town hereby ratifies and confirms the provisions contained in the attached MOA and authorizes the supervisor to sign the same. And 2, that all provisions of the MOA are now in effect. Is there a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, motion is carried. Next is resolution, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Cornwall has received a request for leave under the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA, for a full-time employee dispatcher. Whereas the Town Board has reviewed the attached certification of healthcare provider form completed by the employee and healthcare provider. Whereas the healthcare provider has reported that the leave period would be approximately June 15th, 2019 through August 18, 2019. Are those dates?
It makes it sound as though she'd already used it out.
Yeah,
Doesn't make
Chief, what are the
any
dates?
sense.
She'll be back on Monday.
Oh, so it has been for that period then? Okay. I think this sort of evolved over
Yeah, there was,
some time off.
her position wasn't as, given that form filled out as we would have hoped.
Okay.
It was in between meetings.
All right, so that was the delay in the position. Now therefore be resolved as follows. 1, the town board hereby agrees to the above requested leave under the FMLA. And 2, the supervisor is authorized to sign any and all documents required under the FMLA for the requested leave. Is there a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Move second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, motion is carried. Next item is a resolution pertaining to the banking services proposals for town funds. Our bookkeeper has been contacting a couple of different banks, JP Morgan Chase and Orange Bank and Trust and Sterling. And what we've been looking at is an opportunity to place the funds where we can earn the greatest interest for the town. And also, and they all now have features of courier service, which unfortunately, since Chase moved out of town, any cash deposits all have to be taken at Vales Gate and all, but there's service to be included in it. And actually, of all the proposals, Sterling with a rate of 1.70 actually turns out to be the best program for the town based on the interest that's applied to all of the funds as opposed to just over a certain amount. And it will generate considerably more money for the town than we've been receiving currently through Chase. So I have a resolution. Whereas Section 64 of Town Law provides that the Town Board of the Town of Cornwall shall designate by written resolution the banks or trust companies in which certain town officers shall deposit the monies coming into their hands by virtue of their offices. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that Sterling National Bank, Montebello, New York, is hereby designated as a depository in which the supervisor, town clerk, receiver of taxes, and court clerks may deposit monies coming into their hand by virtue of their offices. Is there a motion on the resolution?
So So moved.
Second.
Move second, discussion.
Oh, just I want to make a point. Chase hasn't actually left town. They just don't have full branch services now.
Right. You can't even make a deposit, cash
Well,
deposit.
you have to do everything through the machine.
Yeah, well, so they're going to be leaving town. Roll call?
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, motion's carried. Next item is NIPA Communications Backbone Execution Plan. Steve, maybe just give a quick overview.
NIPA, or the New York Power Authority, is updating its communication lines statewide. And in order to do that, they have to conduct SEQA review, reviewing the State Environmental Quality Review Act. They have designated themselves to be lead agency in SEQA review under that law, which is absolutely appropriate since they're conducting the program. And they've circulated a notice of intent to be lead agency, which the town has received. And if the town wished to object to them acting as lead agency, now would be the time, but there really isn't a reason to do that, so it's just kind of a read-in.
Strictly about lead agency on,
That's all it is, secret at this point, yes.
okay.
The
So
project
it's-
does not appear to have much effect on Cornwall either. There might be some work done to lines along the thruway, but that seems to be about the extent of it.
Okay, so we're just going to note that for the record. Next item is the Pennies for Paws fundraiser, which was postponed due to what was originally set in June, but heavy rains did not allow that to go forward. So now they've set it for October 13th with a rain date of October 14th. It's to raise funds for the Hudson Valley SPCA Pennies for Paws. And it's Tyler Fuyer, who has raised funds before for the animals and all, and would like to have an event to try to raise some more money to help the dogs out. They provided all the insurance and all the paperwork and all, so there's a motion to approve the event for October 13th with a rain date of the 14th.
So moved.
Second.
Move second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, motion is carried. Gentech LTD preventative maintenance agreement. This is for all of the generators that the town has, and we've added on the Munger Cottage, which was the most recent one, and the amount of the agreement for the maintenance and service for all of the generators is $1,545 semi-annual service. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Move second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, motion is carried. The DEP project regarding the Mudna Shaft 7, the building inspector and I met with representatives from the DEP, the engineers. They're looking at, as we know, there's a lot of work going on the entire New York City water system and the tunnels that they work through. And it turns out there's a shaft in the town of Cornwall off of Route 218 that they have to get at and do work to, apparently it's a siphon type thing where it goes down, I don't know, how many feet did you say, Michael? You got it?
Like 1,100.
1,100 feet, and causes pressure, goes under the river, and it's all the mechanics of it. We learned then that it's not just a pipe that goes and you turn the faucet on in New York City. There's a lot that goes into the engineering and maintenance of these. And basically, they just want to let us know, and also they'll be seeking a permit from the building department. They'll be putting a temporary water tank there for some of the work that they'll be doing. So there's nothing the board has to do. I just want to make sure the board was aware of it, and that they really are, I have to say, really good at what they do with the knowledge that they have and the expertise. So the building inspector is aware of what's going to be required. Next, authorization for the engineer to prepare bid specs for the new town hall generator. This is a grant through Senator Larkin when he was in office. And the generator we have is probably close to 30 years old, and it primarily services the police department and a couple of minor areas in the town hall. But the new generator will actually service the entire town hall, including the police department, which, given the number of storms where we really lose power and all, it's essential that we be able to keep the town hall operating. So we want to get this going, so I have a resolution, whereas the town board has before an agreement for engineering services between the town and the town's consulting engineers, MHE, for professional services related to the removal of the existing standby generator and installation of a new standby generator at Town Hall. Whereas the first step in the project would be for the town board to authorize the town's consulting engineers to prepare bid specifications for a proposed generator. Now therefore be resolved as follows. One, the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign the attached agreement for engineering services and authorizes McGoey Hauser to prepare design documents and bid specifications for the town hall generator. Two, the town board hereby further authorizes McGoey Hauser to advertise for bids following preparation and submittal of plans and specifications. This contract is for the engineering of $10,000 to prepare all the specifications and get it out to bid, and construction phase service will be based on an hourly rate. Is there a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moving second, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, the motion is carried. The letter from our attorney advising the board, the Secretary of State has filed the local law number 2 of the year 2019, was filed in their office on June 26, 2019, and is now in effect. That's pertaining to Chapter 137 of the towing law. We just note that for the record. Next, a resolution to retain special counsel for certiorari proceedings. We have 2 properties that we've done appraisals on, they've done appraisals on, and we are going to wind up going to court on the 2 properties, and we have a recommendation to retain special counsel, Roncato Law Offices. I think it's Richard Roncato, and the rate is billed at a rate of $175 an hour. Additional fees for out-of-pocket disbursements such as filing fees, stenographers, etc. So I'll read the resolution. Whereas challenges have been filed by property owners challenging real property tax assessments on the town's assessment roll. Whereas petitioners' challenges are now pending in the Supreme Court, Orange County. Whereas the property owners' attorneys have made claims and filed appraisals regarding the market values of the properties, which indicate significant reductions in the assessments on the properties. And whereas the court has directed these matters proceed to trial, whereas the town has received a proposal from Richard T. Blancato, Esquire, to serve as trial counsel for tax certiorari proceedings at a rate of $175 per hour plus disbursements. And therefore be resolved as follows. 1, the trial counsel services are necessary in order to defend tax certiorari proceedings, which the court has scheduled for trial. 2, the town board finds that the proposal from Richard T. Blancato is a reasonable price for the work to be performed. 3, the town board hereby approves said expenditure and authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to complete said expenditure. Is there a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second? Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, the motion is carried. Next, we received a request from a resident, Tom DiCorrado, on Angola Road, next to the town park on Angola Road, requesting permission to remove some trees that are right next to his property, and he's had an arborist take a look at them. Jerry Conklin is a certified arborist, and said that these trees present a danger by their very nature and condition. The trees are alive. They have a lot of vines that have grown over them, and Mr. DiCorrado has agreed that he would pay for the removal, cutting down the trees and also removing them from the property. He's provided, he's going to have the arborist will provide the town with a certificate of insurance, naming the town as an additional insured, and I think that we discussed at our work session. Is there a motion to authorize the removal of the trees at the expense of the property owner?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, the motion is carried. Just want to give an update on the, from the New York State Department of Transportation on the 3 9W bridges. This has been 20 years in the works, and we're finally seeing some results of it. The DOT engineer has advised me that they will be replacing the Willow Avenue Bridge in 2020. They will, based on, we had a discussion last year, and based on the fact that there are a number of people who walk into town from the Firth Cliff area, and kids on bikes and so forth, they are going to put a pedestrian crosswalk bridge over 9W while the bridge is being replaced to at least maintain that traffic. And then their plan is to do possibly a partial replacement of the 9W bridge over Quaker Avenue, next year. But if that doesn't happen, then that bridge will completely be replaced in 2021, as well as the Angola Road Bridge over 9W. So long overdue. We're really pleased to see that it happens. And when they came a year ago and told us that they're working on the plans and they actually had the money to be able to do the work, we were really happy to see that. I think our next thing, quite honestly, after the bridge replacement is getting after the DOT to put in modern ramps on and off 9W, which date back to the original highway. And I can tell you from my own experience, the Quaker Avenue ramps, I mean, I know when I go through there, I am vigilantly watching every car that's at that stop sign, because invariably they just pull out in front of you. It's just not good. You're always looking over your shoulder trying to see what's coming in a direction. But I think that's going to be the next thing we really have to work on, to get them to really redesign those ramps and make them safer. I think the chief can attest to the fact that we have a number of accidents at those ramps on Quaker Avenue especially. We received a letter from District Attorney Dave Hoovler on the criminal justice reforms that the state is going through with regard to the way that bail is going to be handled, and processing people who are arrested, and also expediting the turning over of documents and evidence that the police have. And the chief has informed the board that it's a small percentage of our activity, but he will prepare the department to meet whatever requirements the state and the district attorney are going to present to all of the law enforcement agencies. We have approval of a RICO lease agreement for the recreation department. The current lease is $118.78 per month. That will drop down with the new price to $96.40 per month. And so it's an improvement, it's less money, and I think we're always happy to see that happen. Leases for a newer version of the machine that they currently have. So motion to approve the new lease?
So moved.
Second.
Moved second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt?
Yes.
Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes, motion is carried. Okay, the board is going to be continuing the zoning review that's underway. We have a date for the next meeting, which is Tuesday, August 20th at 7 o'clock. And I've confirmed with the planner, and I may have mentioned to the attorney, I think we're hoping that I think the day after Labor Day is the 3rd, which is our work session, right? And then it's a Tuesday, and then the 4th is a Wednesday, and I'd like to see if we could set the follow-up meeting for September 4th.
I'm on vacation that week, Dick.
You'll have to come back.
8/27. Tell it to me, possible. I thought we were going to do the 27th. We don't want to do the 27th.
I'm on vacation.
He's on vacation.
Okay. I can have someone else from my office here, and Leslie can walk you through where we are. Then I don't know what else to tell you.
All right,
Let's for another week.
Let's do this. Let's see how we make out on the 20th,
Okay.
okay? See what point we're at, and see what's the agenda's going to be for the following week.
You can certainly set another date, though.
Yeah, and I think at that point, we are making good progress on it. I really think we are, and we've taken all the comments from the public and just following through with the comprehensive plan. So I think we're really in a good position on the 20th to start focusing this to what would be a draft local law that I think would be prepared. And I do want to say, too, I want to underscore the fact that because of the moratorium that was extended for 6 months and expires on November 13th, I think what the recommendation is going to be is that we conduct and complete this initial, I'm going to call it the major rezoning, and get that in place prior to November 13th so that we can lift the moratorium and the town can get back in business of having our planning board do site reviews and all the work they have to do. And then right after that, we will follow up with the start of more of a minor review. I think we're possibly talking about subdivisions and parking and some of the things like that. But I think it's important to get this major zoning update done. I don't really want to extend the moratorium anymore. It's time for us to really conclude that. So I think we'll be in a very good position based on what we've done so far to get to this point to get it. And then as we do move ahead, we get the draft local law, we set a public hearing on it, we certainly take input from the public and anyone else at that point to see if there's any adjustments the board wants to make. But I think we're on a good glide path to finish this up by the 13th, knowing that we're going to follow up with another zoning review after that. Okay, the town has received a petition from Taylor Road residents. There's 40 residents who have signed the petition. The events and parties hosted at the short-term rental property house located at 219 Taylor Road are a nuisance to our neighborhood. The excessive noise, traffic, influx of strangers, and garbage built up on the road from these events are disrupting the peace of the neighborhood. It's our hope that the town will put regulations in place to protect our property values and prevent short-term rental party houses like these from abusing our neighborhood. I had that, I'll turn the original over to the clerk. I also have an email from Dr. Eugene Schreiner with regard to Taylor Road rental house. As a prelude, please note that, to my understanding, Taylor Road in Mountainville has been zoned residential, presumably protect its status as prime country and residential area property. This zoning showed the desire of previous administration to protect the inherent value and beauty of the street. Anyone buying property on Taylor Road must surely be aware of its zoning. It has come to my attention that a recently sold property on Taylor Road is being used not for fully residential purposes, but as a business for profit, as an Airbnb, and is being advertised on the B&B website as a large party venue for up to 15 or more persons to stay there, use a pool, patio, and outdoor facilities for up to $2,000 and possibly more per night. This has resulted in large unrestricted outdoor parties with the accompanying noise, alcohol, probably drug, marijuana use, and dangerous parking situations on Taylor Road itself. It should be noted that Taylor Road has some of the most dangerous curves in Cornwall, has had multiple motor vehicle accidents, and has many recreational walkers and bikers enjoying the road expected to be safe. All the neighbors have been subjected to noise, fireworks, road dangers from excessive street parking, and totally irresponsible oversight from the owner of the house, who seems to be seeking to make money regardless of the impact on other residents, who also bought their homes in what they expect to be a residential community. Neither I nor, as far as I know, my neighbors have any desire to get rid of B&Bs or a venue like the Mountainville Manor, which clearly restricts the actions of its guests, but all of us wish to have this irresponsible action addressed and stopped. Sincerely, Eugene Schreiner, MD. This is part of what the board is going to be reviewing with the zoning update. I think the attorney is drafting some proposed legislation that the board will be reviewing, and we'll take it one step at a time. Liquor license, Mountainville Manor, Inc. Closing standard form providing 30-day advance notice for JLC Young's Inc.'s proposed application for a liquor license as the premises known as 199 Taylor Road, Mountainville, New York, 10953. If any questions require additional information, please not hesitate to contact me, Robert C. Hess. And standardized notice form providing 30-day advance notice to municipality. Board has any comments? If not, we'll just go through.
Yes, if you have any comments.
No comment? Okay, we're going to note that for the record. Resignation, I have a resignation letter from Bill Brain. Bill has been a member of the Economic Development Advisory Committee for several years and has been chairman for the last few years. He's worked hard, was instrumental in the Cornwall Rising Plan that was put together. That's been referenced in our comprehensive plan. And so a motion to accept the resignation. With regrets, Bill has done an outstanding job. He's just has a busy schedule now and feels that he doesn't have the time to continue. So is there a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
Move, second discussion. Roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, motion is carried. Committee reports. Councilwoman Fun.
The sewer, aside from its regular maintenance and cleaning that they do, the report on the flow is for the Cornwall Shore Road is .3293. The permitted is 1.5. And Howard Street for the plant, the flow was .0692, the permitted one is .12. The seniors are busy traveling and doing their thing, and we're going to try to meet to see if we can have our annual September picnic. It'll be the third year that we've done it, so we're going to see if we can do that one for September, and I'll give you a date as soon as we get together.
Okay. Councilman Summerfield?
The CCA meeting, the last week was canceled, so nothing to report and nothing on cables and wire.
Okay. Councilman McGinnis?
For the month of July, the Highway Department assisted sanitation as needed, street sweeping townwide, roadside mowing townwide, clean up debris from Independence Day celebration, checked all basins during heavy rainstorms to ensure that they were functioning properly, basin repairs on Tundra, Mine Hill, and Union, pipe replacement on Taylor Road, shoulder repair on Taylor Road, no sections of pavement on Mine Hill, and repair with new asphalt, and weed whack guide rail at various locations townwide. For the month of July, the building department issued 34 permits, 7 COs, 61 on-site inspections, 6 complaints investigated, 11 notices of violation, 2 fire inspections, 16 permits. Fees for municipal searches, $4,800, and permit fees, $7,899. And there have been only 2 new zoning board projects opened this month. That's all I have.
Okay, a report from the Chief Hazard. Calls for service for the month of July, 690. Miles driven, 9,633. Total miles for 2019 as of July 31st, 59,265. Traffic and appearance tickets issued 40. Parking tickets issued 7. Motor vehicle accidents reported 30. Arrests made 3. 911 hang-up, misdial open line 3. Alarm residential and business 44. Ambulance request 12. Animal complaints 17. Criminal mischief 3. Disabled vehicle 17. Domestic incidents 3. Parking complaints 9. Suspicious vehicle or person 17. House checks 12. Assist other agencies 13. Economic Development Advisory, I know they had a meeting last week. I haven't gotten the report yet on that, and so I'm not, I'll have something hopefully for next week. I'm sure that may be the last thing that Bill sends in with his resignation as a report on that meeting. So we have warrant number 8. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Discussion, roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt? Yes. Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randazzo?
Yes, motion is carried. Public comment on any item? Yes, Paul?
Thanks, Dick. I'm just curious, sorry, Paul Sturmer, 17 Broadway, just curious about an update for the Bridge project, keeping in mind that the temporary fence has now been up for almost a year,
Right.
11 months, but also keeping in mind, as you've alluded to, that some of the progress might not be the sort of thing that we could see on a day-to-day basis.
Well, it won't, yeah, and actually, the engineer advised the board that they're required now to have a survey so when they're doing their engineering specs and all, so they've been waiting for the surveyor's report. Unfortunately, this year, the surveyors have been incredibly busy. The surveyor that we use for almost everything hasn't even been able to do the last couple projects that we have. So they had to find another surveyor to come in, and that's really at this point that the engineers need to survey. They got to do some surveying in the stream bed and all to complete the specifications. But once they have the engineering specs together and all, we'll be prepared to go out to bid and take it from there. But we don't have any control over some of the things. It's just it does take time. Anyone else? Yes.
Dr. Schreiner, I'm the one that wrote that email to Mr. Randazzo. I want to address 2 issues. Number one is I think the highway department is doing a great job in taking care of the road. I would only request that the 2 bad curves on Taylor Road, you might consider putting a white line down the middle of those roads. Although just those sections, they don't have to do the whole road. They're very dangerous. I'm constantly having people almost hit me, or I'll hit them if they're almost hitting me.
And I have to tell you, Doc, that may not be the easy thing because of the width of the road. So I'll talk to them, they can check with whatever the standards are, but it may not be something that we
People might
can
just
do.
at least try to stay over there.
Yeah,
It's very
no, I know, but
dangerous.
that may not be the solution that we can.
When
put out.
knows?
So
Okay.
Andrew Duke and I met at the last house on that.
Yeah, you have to
I would
wait, sir,
reinforce that.
sir, you have to wait, though. I'll give you a chance to speak, but
Just
Dr.
reinforcing
Stein
your
has the floor.
request.
Okay. Second thing is, I just want to address the issue of the Airbnb. I believe it's been removed from the Airbnb site because of some complaints that they had. I think the problem was that this place was advertised not just as an Airbnb. I've used Airbnb, my children use it all the time, but it was advertised at Airbnb as a venue for large parties on the patio, using the pool, using the equipment, and charging extra for large events. That's their word, events. So instead of being an Airbnb, as we all know, a place to sleep, and go to other events, go for business meetings, go to West Point, it was being used as a recreational venue, outdoor venue, for profit. The Mountainville Manor has been grandfathered in for many years. They've been a great neighbor. We've never had any problems with them. They're respectful of their neighbors. They don't allow loud music outside. But the neighborhood is clearly a residential neighborhood. People buy homes there at a premium to live on this beautiful street that everybody recognizes is a prime street in Mountainville. And that can be destroyed by having a, quote, my quote, commercial, unquote, property right in the middle of Mountainville that's making people upset, destroying the nature of the community for no reason, except that maybe the buyer did not realize that he was buying a house in a residential property. I don't know if he lives there or not. If he doesn't live there, it's purely commercial property. If he does live there, then he should be respectful of the neighborhood. I also came home one day from work, well, from being out, and found about 30 cars parked along the side of the road, including those dangerous curves. If they were on the curve, they were at the edge of the curve, forcing cars into the middle of the road. Those curves are deadly. We all know there have been many accidents there. Anything that's a commercial property is regulated to have a certain amount of parking spaces for the number of people there. The person who owns the house is literally, or was literally, inviting to have parties of more than 20 people at outdoor parties with parking spaces for maybe 5 cars. People were parking on lawns. They're parking on the neighbors' lawns. That's a private driveway. They were parking all over the private driveway in areas that were not allowed to be parked on by that particular home. And it's extremely upsetting to everybody in the neighborhood who signed that petition. So our property values there are somewhat dependent upon it being a residential property, certainly on the beauty and the rural nature of the road. And we're not against Airbnbs. We feel they certainly have a use. We all use them, but we're against the fact that it's being a loud commercial venue, which is not what Airbnb is all about. So I would love if you take that into consideration in the future.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm the last house on Taylor Road, right before the wells, and right at the curb. And I have the adjoining property fields before the next wells. I concur with putting lines in the road. In fact, the recent tar and chip work has widened the road. And every time they do that road in that area tends to be widened. So it shouldn't be an issue of width. And if anything else, it should be reinforced on the guardrail sections. Secondly, as a resident of the road and similarly with issues about the Airbnb property, it's all the way down from my end of the road every weekend that was going on, quite loud, to the point where my guests staying with us were noticeably alarmed, like, what's going on here? Is there a problem in the neighborhood? So when it becomes sort of that level and that consistently weekend after weekend after weekend as a sort of annoyance, it's no longer an annoyance, it's a real problem. So again, I use Airbnb actively probably 30 times last year, a regular user of it, but I've never seen it or used it in this way. So I think either legislation or how you look at how Airbnb enterprises operate in our community needs to be addressed, because if this were to happen anywhere else in town, you'd have the same exact reaction. 40 people coming forward and signing a petition of this nature. So please do everything you can to eliminate this situation.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
My name's Chris Long. I live on Taylor Road, 223. I'm the one who drafted the petition, actually. I prepared a small statement to read tonight. So on behalf of my family, I'd like to set the record straight this evening and state that we are not opposed to Airbnb members that are renting out a room or rooms in their home while they're respecting the rights of their neighbors to enjoy the peace of their own homes. The majority of Airbnb members do so, but unfortunately, there are others that take advantage of the business model to host huge events and parties that result in their neighbors being held captive by having to live next to a frat house environment. Please note that this is not one event and done either, but almost every Friday through Sunday all season. The recent accusations of harassment and false claims directed towards me and my family for speaking up for our rights to enjoy our home are slanderous and untrue. I have been referred to as a manic neighbor run amok on social media, and I've been publicly accused of filing a false police report. After meeting with the chief of police in regards to this, it would be my hope that the police department or town would publicly clarify that this was not a false report. Officers respond to reports all the time to assess the situation where no action is taken, but that does not constitute a false report. The public attacks against me and my family's credibility have been threatening and are certainly affecting our daily lives. Accusations of harassment and fraud should not be thrown around like this. In today's environment, with social media being so prevalent, we should all take these accusations and the potential ramifications very seriously. It's my sincere hope that the petition signed by 40 neighbors will serve to show the board and community that this is not about one single disgruntled and malicious neighbor as it has been characterized. Plenty of people rent out their homes through these services respectfully without bothering their neighbors. However, that has not been the case in this situation. I hope the town will put some regulations in place to protect us and the 40 other neighbors who signed the aforementioned petition. It's also my hope that others who find themselves in similar situations will be protected through future town regulations to ensure their rights to enjoy their homes.
Thank you. And I will confirm the point about having filed a false police report. It's been confirmed by Chief Hazard that it is not considered a false police report that was filed. So just to clear the record up on that. Anyone else? Sir?
I'm Bill Biondolino, and I live on 218 Taylor Road, and I just am here to support what Chris has brought forward. There was one particular event where many cars were parked on my property, actually on my property, lined up, bringing beer and beer cases out to cross the street. I saw cars have to stop and allow one to pass before another could go around, creating a hazardous traffic situation. I know that my neighbors had to pick up beer cans and trash and other debris left on the side of the road when this series of large events were taking place. And I definitely just want to echo what my neighbors here have said, that I do hope that some serious action is taken to protect the entire town and its residents.
Thank you. Anyone else? Win?
Win Gold, Squirrel Hill, Bill. I just want to know what the status is of the litigation that you've authorized against Campy Diddy.
I'm sorry, I missed
The status of the litigation is filed.
the lawsuit's been filed, and there's an application for a temporary restraining order pending before Judge Slobod. Should have a decision on that tomorrow.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so my name is Landon Raby. I'm a military officer at West Point, live here, 219 Taylor Road. So I am, I guess, the person that everyone's here talking about. That's fine. First, I just want to direct a couple things. Number one, I've never broken an ordinance nor a law of any sort. Number two, it's not a party house. I don't have a party house, okay? I live there, that's my home. I live there 95% of the time. 5% of the time, we have rented it out on Airbnb. There have only been 2 major events on our property through Airbnb. One of those events was not authorized by me. In fact, that's the big event that kind of kicked all of this off. During that event, there was a large party that did come and set up shop to do a big wedding. I did not authorize that. When my neighbor called me, I immediately contacted Airbnb. I got a very rare instance from Airbnb to cancel the event and eject them from the property. Then notified the neighbor that that's what I was intending to do. I was told, hey, don't worry about it, don't ruin their wedding day. So you need to understand that there's other things that are going on. Secondly, at no time have I slandered, in no time have I gone forth and threatened anyone. So any of those types of characterizations, my integrity as a military officer, serving our country over 21 years, 5 combat tours, 44 months in Afghanistan, away from my family. So just understand who your neighbors are. You might not know. Get to know them before you go run around and just think that you know what's going on in that respect. A couple other things. Some of the accusations that did go through with an event where the police were called, where there were instances supposedly of drugs, illegal parking, excessive noise. The police that responded with the report that I have right here found none of that. Said that people were parked legally and in no way blocking the major thoroughfares in a dangerous manner. There were no drugs or illegal activities that were going on at the time, and the noise was at a reasonable time and at a reasonable level. So, if you want to go ahead and do things, I would be very careful about going after different events. That being said, I've made some reasonable steps. Number one, I did take my listing off of Airbnb. Number two, I've told Chris this, is that I have limited all further major events. Okay, so there's not going to be any large events. So do understand that, you know, we can't have a reasonable conversation before it gets to this level. But you got to be reasonable. That's all I got.
Thank you, Colonel, and thank you for your service to our country. We appreciate that very much. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask him a question?
No.
Oh,
You cannot.
all right.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the board to go into closed session to seek the advice of counsel.
Second.
Move second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Bunt?
Yes.
Mr. Summerfield?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes, motion is carried. We will not be taking any action, and we want to thank you all for coming out to the meeting tonight.
Thank you. Linda's on her way in. I texted